Forever.
Okay, Mike, I'm trying to record this one on this camera.
You want me to say?
I'll do an introduction.
Oh, okay.
We're rolling.
All right, this is an interview at the New York State Military Museum, Saratoga Springs, New York, 21st of October, 2004, approximately 3 p.m. Interviewers are Wayne Clark and Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
Born in Kansas City, Missouri, and that was in 1920.
And your full name?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
It's James Koehler Baber,
Okay.
B-A-B-E-R.
Okay.
And Koehler, K-O-E-H-L-E-R.
All right. What was your educational background prior to entering the service?
Grade school.
High school.
I went to grade school and graduated out of grade school in 1939, and they were hard times then all over the country. They had people couldn't get jobs and one of those things, and me just getting out of service. Getting out of school and all. I dropped into one of these stations that they had where you go sign up for military and so forth. And one day I'd walked by there before several times, but this time I just stopped in there to see what was going on. Well, I spent some time in there, and after I got out of there, I come out, I'd already signed up. I was 19 years old.
Okay, so this was 1939 then.
And this was 1939.
So you joined the Army?
I joined the
Okay.
Army, and yes.
Okay. Where did you go for basic training?
Fort, Jefferson Barracks, Missouri.
Mm-hmm. And how long was your training?
Right up until, maybe about a year or a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, the war was already going on over in Europe. We hadn't gotten into that yet, and we were in basic training, and just.
Now, in basic training, did you still have the 1903 rifles and the World War I helmets?
Yes, we had the 1903
Mm-hmm.
bow,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very, very shortly after that we got the Garand. I think that's the
Yes,
way to pronounce
the
it.
M1
Garand rifle.
Yes.
That was the 1903 was history, and everyone in the services then had the Garand
Okay.
automatic.
All right. Did you receive any specialized training after boot camp?
Well, after boot camp, which I'd done that at Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, they sent the 6th Infantry, which I was in then at that time, down to Fort Knox. And they were just forming the first armored divisions in the country that we'd had. And this was in the 1st Armored down in Fort Knox. And the training down there was working the foot infantry along with the tanks and everything to signify the way they work together. For example, the tanks may be take an objective or something, and then it would be stationary and occupied by the foot infantry that would come in and hold it and take it over. And we worked that way. We had artillery and then the tanks and everything working together, and the foot infantry in the back of us after the armor had pushed the enemy back and out of place. Why, then we would come over off to take over and make sealing the what they took up, so that we had captured it.
So you had a lot of war games and maneuvers then?
Yes, we did from
Tennessee?
then on. We went down to all the southern states, and we had these what they called half tracks, half track and half wheels.
Yes.
And we used to ride them. That was our vehicle. After we would take any length of land, any thing like that, well, then the half tracks would come up and move us up as far as they could. And like artillery or anything like that, they stayed behind with the stuff like that. And we were strictly on our own on foot infantry. The regular infantry only, it was supposed to be fast work too. Artillery and everything, soften everything up, and then after they got through doing that, why then the foot infantry would move in and occupy that land. And,
Now,
yeah,
where were you when you were in the Army, obviously, but do you remember where you were and the reaction when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
oh yes, I was up at Pine Camp, New York. What do they call that now?
Fort Drum.
Fort Drum.
What?
Fort Drum.
Camp Drum. Drum, right. Yes, I was there, up there, when we woke up that morning and the Japanese had already bombed and hit Pearl Harbor.
Do you remember the reaction of yourself and the other men?
No, it was, I guess we all kind of just knew this was going to happen. With Europe at war, we knew that England and France and countries like that were like we were. That kind of view, and who the enemy was, Japanese and the Germans sympathizing their ally, you know, with Japanese and so forth, and it gradually out, everybody knew who they were and who they were against, and it's a little confusion at first, but it didn't take long to iron that stuff out. And then after that, we went down south in the United States on maneuvers. All with the half tracks, with the tanks and stuff like that, working together, all through Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, down in there. And we worked for a while. And for certain, maybe several months or going on to a year, why, we just knew we were going to go overseas. And forget just exactly the year, and it's 40, 50 years ago now. It doesn't seem that far. But anyway, we did. We were put on ship after...
Now, what was your unit? Were you still in the 6th Infantry?
Yes, as far as I can remember. We were in the... No, 6th Armored Infantry, they used to call us, armored infantry. And they were moving the troops over then at that time, and the year that we went over there was not the first year that the Japanese bombed, but the next year.
1942?
I'd say yes.
Where did you go?
France. We had some more training over there, and just to keep us moving. And we went, as I said before, we went to different states down south on maneuvers, doing practicing what our job was.
Did you go to England first before
Oh, yes.
you were in the Normandy invasion?
We shipped out of England.
So you were in England
Yes.
then? Did you do maneuvers there also then?
Basically, not an awful lot there. But we became, when I first came in, like we became familiar with the rifle and working together with the artillery and aircraft and stuff like that. Maybe they would fly over first, soften up an area with them. Then after they'd done that, we figured it was softened up pretty good. Then they'd move the armored infantry in and would occupy the land. It was in steps. You know, maybe the Air Force and then artillery, then occupation with infantry, and that was the method, the pattern, I should say.
How long, do you remember how long you were in England before you went into France?
Oh, maybe 8 or 9 months, or close to a year, I'd say.
Now, were you in the Normandy invasion?
I was not, well, the Normandy invasion consisted of the aircraft first of all, softening up, bombing, softening up. And then after that, heavy artillery moving in. And occupying ground and softening it up, waiting for us to move in. So it was the aircraft and then the artillery, heavy artillery with tanks and the stuff that helped make the landing there and to occupy it, and it was ours. After those 3 steps were made and the ground troops were firing the artillery and so forth and softened it up, then the foot infantry would move in and occupy that land. And that was a thing all the way through up to Germany.
Do you remember when you landed at Normandy?
When I was not in the first wave of occupying, because I was in the armored infantry. We weren't ready to let our tanks go in there, and then maybe they'd have an artillery, reverse, and push us back maybe, and then we'd leave a tank or some of our other stuff. So we had to be sure that the land was occupied. Well, that was the group that I was in. In the moving artillery, infantry. So that we knew that land would be occupied, wouldn't be pushed back. But I was not in the first wave. That was just plain foot infantry after all the artillery and everything had been through. It must have been about maybe 3 or 4 days after this land was the beachhead. That's what I'm trying to say. The beachhead was taken and established. And we knew it was going to be ours. And as they kept, it was slow, penetrating deeper and deeper into France. Why, must have been about the 3rd or 4th day maybe that our group moved in, and I got hit at that time. I got hit by some things I can't name, even my own mother's name.
Shrapnel.
Today sometime after that. I got
shrapnel?
It was shrapnel.
Yeah, it was shrapnel. Where were you hit?
And I got a good dose of that. I got in the head, in the chest, in the legs, and with that stuff, when it hits, it spreads, and God knows, you're just lucky if it don't get you right then and there. And I was one of the fortunate ones that way. Right away, that was the end of me in France. And I was hospital. I was taken back by our medics and so forth, and along with other guys that were there, and happened to have a shrapnel or hit by artillery fragments and stuff like that, whatever. Well, they took me back, and eventually was taken to England, where we had the United States and France and all had a hospital in England. And I stayed in there maybe 3 or 4 months, let's say, and sent back to the United States, because I was through with active service. That's where was sent back. And to the hospital in New York, and there's was taken mostly a famous hospital there. And right as you go in, right almost on the end, I can't think of the name of it, but GIs that was mainly for military. So I spent some more recuperating there, and that's about it. Then I was in there until, in the service, I mean, until 45, wasn't it? Did I say 1945? Yeah. So I had from June in 39 up to 1945, total of a little over 6 years.
And so you spent quite a bit of time then hospitalized in England and then in the United States?
Yes, it was. Altogether, my hospital time was about 6 months, I'd say, counting from the beginning.
What happened to you after you left the hospital?
In the meantime, before all of this, I was corresponding with this young lady right here. It's a high school she was, and a friend of mine in the service with me showed me her picture, and I liked the looks of that picture, so I wrote her a letter and got back, and then after that, what became this invasion of was in July, about the invasion of Norway. What do they call that? The invasion of France and Norway.
Normandy?
What was that?
The D-Day invasion in Normandy?
Yeah, but they called it something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, that's where I picked up my shrapnel and all of that, and I had started a correspondence with her, getting to her. So when I came back over from there, landing in New York, and the first place that I went to was her house, and she lived here in Saratoga with her family and sister, and I took the bus after I got on land, and they let me out of the hospital. I was through with them and okay, and I came up to her house. Well, she had a dog, and she didn't come down with him. She sent him down there. The dog went down, slow. I just got off the bus, and I'm looking down. She didn't see anybody coming out, because she knew I was coming out there. I wrote a letter, And I just seen a dog up there. I said, I'm not looking for any dog. But the dog come all the way down to the bus, where the bus was. You'd think it was a human being. I got off the bus, and I was the only one that got off at that stop. And he was a very friendly dog. It sniffled around, you know, and very quiet. So he just turned around, started going back. Her house was about a block or two up the road that I had to go through her house. And the dog, every once in a while, he'd look back, see if I'm coming. And I followed him up to her house.
Now, where did you get discharged? When you were discharged, where were you?
I was in
Wow.
New York, was it?
Texas? Were you in Texas?
I was still in the service
San
when I
Antonio?
went with you, but, Fort Knox, I think. No, that's in Kentucky. I was in,
San Antonio, Texas.
New York, I think, but I'm not sure.
No, okay.
It's,
Sorry.
I
Now
got
you
that
said-
black and I just-
That's okay. Now, did you, when you were in the armored units in the South, did you ever serve under Patton or see Patton? I know
certainly
you.
did. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to tell you about him. He was the overall boss of all of the units that were in on maneuvers down there. He was the overall, the other officers and all of the infantry and the artillery and all of that sort of thing. And he would go from one of these camps to another, you know, to see how the training was coming along. And he would, when he'd get there to any unit, why he would say, I want to speak to the sergeant of the 1st platoon on 6th Infantry. Well, he didn't know one man from Adam, but that's how he got somebody to talk with. And he called my number. My rating, that is, by name and rating, because he was given a whole list of different names, you know, like that. And I had to talk with him that way.
What did you think of Patton?
I thought, well, I've got a, what did I think of him? I thought he was exceptional. And he was up front with the men. And the story goes, different little stories here and there, you know. About one of them was, this lieutenant was down on the ground scanning the area, you know, whether to make a charge or not, and see what. And he was down there with his field glasses, the lieutenant was, rightfully so, that was his job. And so here come George. Well, a lot of us used to call him George, not to his name.
I bet not to his
No.
face.
But when we said George, why, we knew who it was. And he walked up and he saw the lieutenant laying down there with the field glasses. He says, what the hell you doing down there? He said, you can't see anything down there. And I'll never forget that. I heard, what the hell you doing down there? You can't do anything. Here's him though. He wasn't afraid of nothing. And guys talk about leader. They'd go anywhere with them. Of course, he didn't have to, he never just fully exposed himself out, of course. They wouldn't let him do that,
Right.
you know. But he was up front. I seen him up there. And I got one of my, Justin, yeah, my grandson. He knew, you know, well, I got a big display at home. If you're ever down that way, I'll show it to you. Show it to you. I like to show it to you.
Okay.
And it's in our one of our rooms that we live in there. And I don't know, I get carried
Talking
away
about
for
Patton's
good.
picture.
What?
Picture on the wall that Justin brought you.
Oh.
You have a picture of Patton your grandson gave you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got a picture. He's seen it, and he bought it for me. It shows him he's got his helmet on, and he's got, I forget, he's got the 3 stars. He went higher than that later, or before. But anyway, he was a man that you'd do anything for. He set an example for everyone. I seen him quite a bit. I didn't get to talk to him quite a bit, of course. Because he didn't know anybody, only by rank or whatever. You know. But yes, I thought everybody thought General Patton was everything. To the soldiers all the way up to high rank. He was well liked.
Now, after you left service, did you ever use the GI Bill?
Well, yeah, but I can't. Yes, that's a very familiar name when you say GI Bill. I've had a couple of different things with them. I think they've been all in all to speak of them. I just think they've done great with us. I think that they treated us excellent. And I think I speak for 90% of the soldiers, sailors, Marines, and so forth.
Did you ever use that 5220 club?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it was a 52 weeks. You got $20 a week, like an unemployment insurance after the war.
I had something to do with that. 5220, I know what you mean. Like that.
Did you join any veterans organizations after you left service? Like the American Legion or
Oh, yeah.
VFW?
Yeah. And I'm a member of the Purple Heart. I've been in that ever since I got hit by that shrapnel, and still am a member in the of the Purple Heart.
Okay.
A lifetime I've got.
Did you ever stay in contact with anyone that was in service with you?
I'm trying to. Oh, Kelly. Kelly, yeah. Yes, I have. That was especially one person. And he lived very close to Saratoga. And yeah, I knew him for quite a while, but he passed away though. He had some kind of heart trouble or something like that. And that's been about, what has that been, Steph? About 5-10 years?
About 10.
Kelly passed away.
About 10.
Yeah, but not many though.
Did you ever see any USO shows?
Yes, I've seen them, enjoyed them, and I don't know. All in all, about the whole thing, from the day I went in until I got out, I liked it. I'd have to say, I think it was great. I think the training that I had in there was good, and I got a promotion up rank up until staff tech sergeant and stuff like that, and until I got hit by that shrapnel, and I don't know. in time, if you stick with them, you're going to get some kind of a rating,
Now, could you, both of these were taken obviously after the war because you have your combat infantry badge on. So that's a photograph of you?
Oh, yes.
This is probably 1945?
I'd say about, yeah.
44?
Yeah, and I got my combat infantry badge. That's this thing
Right.
right here.
If you could hold it up like this in front of you, Wayne could focus on
I'm
it.
sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay. And then this one was probably taken somewhere around the same time since you...
44.
44.
45 with
Yeah.
that one.
You have your, if you could hold that one up too.
Okay.
Okay. Now do you,
Oh, yeah.
now who is in that?
That's when I went back to where I used to live a long time, before I went into service, before I met you. And this is in Kansas City, Kansas. And this was a night, a fellow that lived next door. His name was Evango. And he was a different, I never even knew he was in the Army. But he had went his way and I went my way.
Could you hold that one up too, please? Could you hold that up to the camera too?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So you're on, this is you, and this is your friend?
Yes.
Okay.
His name was Alex Evango. That's something. Could remember that.
Okay.
And simple things that happen around like that. How in
Okay.
the world that arrived?
All right. Well, thank you very much for your interview.
Well, I enjoyed it that I got at home. Oh, I got to tell you if I can get through it or not. You got to know. My father was in the First World War. To make all this short as I can, he was gassed, as you well remember, that Germany used gas in World War I. And he got a dose of that. And that ended his time over there, and he was hospitalized. And to sum it all up, this was in 1917, let's just say, or 18. But anyway, he lived. Was sent back to the United States. He lived until he was 27 years old, and he passed away. And that's one. I have a brother. George, and he went into the Navy at night I forget what age he was in, but anyway, he went and signed up with the Navy, and to make all that short and everything, he signed up, and as we were at war with Japan at the time, and he was on a surface ship on I forget just what they would call that. And then he was transferred to a ship in the Pacific. Went over there, his ship was sunk, and lost him. My young brother at 19, I think it was 19 years old. And you know how the women are taking this. With my mother losing her husband. By the way, she's still living, Mom, after this all happened, of course. And then after having this thing with the two of them, with her husband and my father, why then that's after I was in France, and that's where I got hit. And sure enough, it's number 3. She got the telegram from them. That's 1, 2, 3. She got it on me. And we regret to inform you that so-and-so, like this. And I don't think she was past 60. My mother, you know, she had to put up with her husband, with my father, my young brother at 19, and then she had to put up with the telegram on me. God knowing, I have no idea how bad off you are. But like that, but I always do, it always goes through my mind where I get a feeling about the women today, even now, with this thing going on that we got like that. And it's tough times right now. Do they have youngsters that are going over there? They just
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much.